Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to insert a new light fixture in your ceiling for a room where there's no fixture today. So this right here is my daughter's bedroom. Our house was built in the early 90s, and as such there was no fixture installed in the ceiling. So the ceiling is completely bare, no light fixture of any kind. As I showed you here, there is a light switch, and it simply controls the upper portion of an outlet that's behind this end table. So by using the switch, it just makes that outlet hot or off. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewire that light switch, and we're going to connect it to a new ceiling fan that we're going to install in roughly the middle of the ceiling. And what will happen to that outlet that is controlled by the light switch today, that will simply be on or hot all the time going forward. So here's the light switch that we're going to use to connect to the ceiling fan. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to run the wires from within the attic. We're going to drill a hole above in the attic, and we're going to run those wires down into this circuit box, that light switch. So what you can do, the easiest way to do this is if you have one of these long drill bits, as I'm showing you here, you can use that to stick within the light switch and just drill up into the attic, and then you'll be able to find that hole immediately. Unfortunately though, my drill bit is not quite long enough. I don't know if it's too short or if the light switch is too low, but it's not going to be long enough to reach up there. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill a hole from above, then I'm going to drop a wire down, and I'm going to have to spend some time fishing it out from that light switch. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the light switch, and I'm going to drill a hole in the top of the box so that when I drop that wire down, hopefully eventually I'll get the wire to drop right into the box. So here's the open light switch. I just pulled the wires, the switch out to the right so you can see everything. And again, not sure if you can see up there, but I'm going to drill a hole about right here in the side of the box. I want to make the hole big enough so that I have a really big target to hit when I drop the wires down, but I don't want it so big that I destroy the structure of the box. So I'm going to work on that next. Obviously, you want to make sure that you have the power off before you're pulling anything apart here or before you're drilling into the box. All right, I've spent some time drilling a hole. Let me see if I can show it to you. But we've now got a hole at the top of the box there. It's not a huge hole, so it's going to take me a little while to be able to fish out the cord that I dropped through there, but hopefully I'm able to do it. So we'll start in the attic next. All right, I'm now in the attic, and what I did was I paced off where I thought that light switch was in relation to where I came up in the attic. And I found that this area right here looks to be where the light switch comes up in the bedroom. And you can see there are two spots where wires are going down. There's a hallway light switch, so I think that's that close one, and the bedroom is that one right there. So I believe if I drill another hole very close to it, I'll be able to drop that wire down and hopefully hit somewhere where I can grab it and get it through that small hole. You can see I had to clear away a lot of this insulation just so I could uncover where I was at. Obviously, after I drill the hole and patch it back up, we'll just scoot the insulation back. But I think I'll drill somewhere maybe just inside of those cords so that I have a straight shot down and I can catch the wire from down below. So let's try it.
All right, well, I've got my hole now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire that I have, and I'm going to try to feed it through that hole with the intent of trying to get it through that light switch holder in the bedroom. Now I've got my wife in the bedroom, and she's going to be looking down there to tell me if she sees it, and hopefully grab it when we get through. So this will probably take several tries.
Now I'm back in the bedroom, and one thing I'll warn you about is measuring accurately when you're in the attic, because you can see my first hole I missed and drilled into the ceiling there. Obviously that's less than ideal. I'll just patch that up though. I did make a second hole just about 1.5 inches back, came through the wall, and when I fished the line, you can see it's right here. It came down perfectly. Took me no more than 5 minutes. You can see it coming down right through the hole. So we're in good shape there. I'm gonna just take a few minutes now to patch that hole in the ceiling. So now that we've run our wire down from the attic into the light switch box, I need to create a hole for where the ceiling fan is going to go in the ceiling. So again, somewhere in the middle of the ceiling. The first step was I just measured where the exact center of the ceiling was. So I measured the total length, the total width, and then found the center, and I marked it with a small hole, small pencil hole. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a small pilot hole, and then I'm going to use this thing. So this is a long wire piece that I bought at Home Depot from the garden center. I think people use it to stick into their garden and hold a plant upright. What I'm going to do is after I drill my pilot hole in the center of the ceiling, I'm going to stick this up, and it's going to mark where the center of the ceiling is into the attic. So once I crawl back into the attic, I'll be able to find this thing sticking up, and I'll know exactly where my hole is. I can clear away the insulation there, and then I can create the bigger hole that I need to secure the ceiling fan. So right now I'm going to drill that pilot hole, and I'm going to stick this up into it. So here's the hole in the middle of the ceiling. Sorry for moving the camera around. And now we will insert this. I can feel the insulation moving. Might need to get a piece of tape or something to hold it, but I should be able to find that now in the attic.
So I'm in the attic now, and I don't know if you can see my hole, but it's right here. That's up from that little wire thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this thing in here. This fits between the two joists. I'm going to mark a hole around here with a marker or pencil, and then I'm going to cut a hole in it so that I can cut into the room. So after tracing a hole around this thing, I used just a hand saw, and I cut a hole right here, just big enough for, sorry, I'm trying to keep my shadow out of the way, but just big enough for this thing to go in. And again, this thing is going to latch on both joists. So let me secure that, and I'll be back downstairs. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bead of caulk using my caulk gun around that daylight just to make sure it's the insulation is not going to fall through and it's well insulated. Then I'll close it up and head back down.
So I'm back in the bedroom. You can see the hole from above. You can see that circular box that I put in from below, and you can see the wire sticking out. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to caulk around the perimeter again, just so I get a nice seal, and then we can start hanging the ceiling fan. Here's more of a close-up of the hole. You can see that I even caulked around where the wire comes in. Again, just wanting to get a real tight seal there so no cold weather, air, or what have you can get in. This brand of box I bought too has these two screws, you can see, and I tighten that up right around that metal bar that held it in place between the two studs, joists. So I'm happy with how that turned out. One other thing I wanted to mention very quickly was when I cut that hole out in the attic, the way that I did it is I put that box down, traced a hole around it, and then I drilled 4 holes. These are 3/4 inch holes, and then I just used that handsaw to cut between the holes. So that's how I got it, and it fell right out of the ceiling. I put these towels down. My wife was not happy about the mess, but at least I had the towels here. They caught it. Now I can just shake these out outside. And you can see there's that garden rod that fell out of the ceiling when I got up into the attic. At this point, all I did was strip the ends of the wire, get everything ready here. I did the same thing with our switch. So I'm just going to install the ceiling fan now to the area right up here. And I'm just going to follow the instructions for the ceiling fan. So you should do the same. Well, I am done assembling the ceiling fan and hanging it from the ceiling. So it's all wired up. Now what we're going to do is do the wiring for the light switch. And I have selected to do a different switch for both the lights and the fan. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing I need to do is get the old light switch out. Again, my home was built in the early 90s, so they just used these inserts. So I'm going to insert a thin screwdriver in each hole here and pull off the old light switch. Then one of these will be hot. Both of them really will be hot. One of them leads to the light switch. One of them comes from the power source. I'm going to put those together and I'm going to connect them with this. And I'll show you more about that in a few minutes. So we're now ready to connect the electricity. As you can see here, the 2 wires that were separated by the switch before. So this top wire is coming from the power source in the house. This wire is going towards that outlet. So the light switch was breaking the 2. What we're going to do is we're going to put the 2 together. So the light switch is hot all the time. I'm going to actually connect those with this little wire connector here. So the 3 of these will be joined, and then I'm going to put that on the new switch that I bought. So this is the new switch. Bought this at Home Depot. Why I like it is it's got a separate switch for the light and the fan, and it's also got a speed control and a dimming control, and both are going to operate separately. So that's why I had to buy this special category 14 3 gauge wire. You know, your normal wire is going to have a hot, neutral, and then another ground, just those 3. The benefit of this wire is it's got this additional hot One hot is going to be used for the fan and one hot is going to be used for the light. So the first thing we're going to do again is connect the outlet to the power source. Those will be together. I'm going to use this and I'm going to connect it to the side of my switch. So that's the power in. And then we're going to do the rest of these wires. One wire does the light and one does the fan. And then the green is just the ground, which will be connected to this. So let me connect these and we'll move on to the next step. So we're making progress here. Again, I connected the green to the ground. I connected my white that was coming from the fan to the whites that were already. So that's the neutral line. So I had to undo the cap on that, put the white from my ceiling fan wire in there. The blacks, again, I connected the black that was going to the outlet to the hot coming from the power source to another stub wire, and that I connected to the unit. So that's the power in. And all I'm left over now that all I have left over are one wire that goes to the fan. This wire controls the fan, and this one controls the light. So I just need to remember how I hooked it up above. So those wires that went in the wall and how I hooked it up to the fan, I'm just gonna splice those together and I should be good to go. One other thing I wanted to show you is that there's a lot of wires in here and the box is not very big, especially this new switch I have takes up a lot of space. So when you're pushing those wires back in, a lot of times I found that the wires can pull apart, and when you put everything back in, it no longer works. So one thing I've done to address that is I put on these little wire ties here. You can see I put one on the black and I put one on the white there. They're just pull ties, so I pull them together and I just cut off the ends, and that helps really secure the wires together so that if they're pulled and pushed a little bit in that box, then they'll just stay together. So the last thing I'm going to do is just connect the fan and the light wires and put the box back. Should be good to go. Perhaps I'll connect the wires first, test it out, and then put it back in the wall once I've determined that everything's working correctly. So I've got all of the wires connected and we're trying it out now. Sorry, it's a little dark. I'm starting to lose daylight, so I need to finish this project up. But you can see if I hit the light bulb button, the light goes on. I can dim it using this switch here. I'll go all the way back up. And then independently, I can use the fan. And you can see it's rotating around. So all seems to be working correctly. So I'm going to power down each, and I just need to fit the box in the wall and we should be good to go.
And as you can see, our project is now complete. The switch has been placed completely in the wall, and I've put a decorative light plate up. I just got that at Home Depot. And as you can see, we'll test it out. Hit the light. Light goes on. Separately, I can turn on the fan. Fan is on. And we're done. Now earlier in the video, I had showed you how to do the wiring. I went through that kind of fast, so at the conclusion of this video, I'm going to post the wiring diagram. It'll show you what the wiring looked like before I started. So when the wiring and the switch was just operating the outlet, and it'll show you what it looks like now with the fan connected. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up.